Technology, is it our greatest threat or our only hope for the future? Tonight, Man Alive looks at the third wave.
The world is changing so fast. We are told we are at the dawn of a new age. A third wave of history. But these are just words. And the sand is shifting at our feet to gale force winds. Where are they blowing us? Who are the magicians among us that can ride them?
My whole viewpoint on an individual is he will perform miracles. Anybody will perform miracles given the opportunity to be a magician.
That's what we're trying to do in Rising Star. We're trying to pull a rabbit out of a hat. We're trying to use the powers of magic to bring simplicity, to bring order into chaos.
We're with you, we're with you.
All right, let me do a miracle. You want a miracle?
Yeah. Sure.
Why not? Count 4 cards into my hands and somebody give me a scotch. Now watch this carefully.
Yeah.
I've turned them around. There are now 2 down and 2 up. I am going to turn them all face down in front of your eyes faster than you can yell out, "Rising Star." When I snap my fingers, yell out, "Rising Star." I will have turned them all face down. Go.
Rising Star.
Too slow. You were too slow as right. You're all face down.
All right.
Let me do one more time. 1 face up.
That's really, that's real.
Now you can think Rising Star.
Which printer? Is that done with the new printer? Diablo? They just started working on it last night. That's sensational.
Technology is rapidly changing the face of civilization. An enormous upheaval is going on around us. What futurologist Alvin Toffler calls the thunderous approach of the third wave of history. 300 years ago, the second wave began, when the Industrial Revolution slowly advanced through agrarian society. But the revolution today, the information revolution, is changing society so fast that most of us feel left behind. Uncertain of the future, we find the new technology threatening. Rising Star is a group of people who have quite a different view. They see hope in the new technology, perhaps humanity's only hope.
Bucky Fuller said that there was a critical path that man was walking, and that the critical path had, I believe as of now, be 6 more years to run, and that if we didn't make the fundamental change towards survival within that 6 years, that mankind was doomed, that we were going to annihilate ourselves on this planet. Well, very frankly, part of it was hearing that and realizing that that kind of a time frame existed, because I agreed. I looked at it and said, yes, I can extrapolate the trends that are going on in international politics, and if they are not stopped, we've had it. Well, the only way I see to change that, again, is not by carrying signs in the street. It's by coming up with fundamentally different technologies that allow a new civilization to come into existence to replace the old one. This is a very key point to what Rising Star is all about. And one of the sayings that we have is that we're working the curl of the third wave on a silicon surfboard.
Rising Star is part of the high-tech industry that is booming in California. The offices are located in Los Angeles, not far from Redondo Beach. If the steam engine was the technological magic that sparked the Industrial Revolution, the magic of the third wave is the microcomputer.
Okay, now you take your...
Rising Star develops software, those strange incantations that make computers do useful things. Theirs is called Valdocs, short for valuable documents. But beyond its software development, Rising Star is something else, a vision of how to create the future.
That's a great idea, actually, is what it is. It was an idea to get people together who hopefully were brave and responsible and who were willing to break rules. Right now, it works in computers and software because that's where the civilization is. That's in order to then be able to finance other research projects that basically change the civilization, to upgrade it.
When I got into computers, I did so with a couple of special understandings. I had this desire to change the civilization. I felt that there were certain key technologies necessary to bring about a change on the planet. Well, the most fundamental technology is energy generation, and my greatest love in life is physics, and has been as far back as I can remember. Well, I realized very early on that if I was going to do what I wanted to do in physics, I had to have a bunch of money. I had to have the ability to finance myself. So I looked around and said, well, where is there a fundamental tool lacking? And it came to me very rapidly. I said, in the area of the mind, we have fundamental tools lacking. At just that point in time, the microcomputer was being invented. This is 1975. The microcomputer is just coming into existence in the world. And so I looked at that and said, there it is. There's the item. So computers is the way I'm going to build a company and build an enterprise that will serve as a funding pool for a think tank. That's why I got into computers, was to finance research in other areas of technology.
And how can I help you? Do you say when you put the disk in that your computer will not start?
Rising Star was formed in 1981 to help design a brand new machine. Its concept was revolutionary, a computer that virtually anybody could use. Their design approach was that even the most technologically ignorant of us can figure out the meaning of a simple label. It worked, but there were a few rare exceptions.
Okay, now push the insert key. And you will say it says insert on. Right. Okay, now when you type, anything you type will be squeezed in between the letters that is already on the editor. Right, that way you can add a word without erasing your other words. Yes, ma'am.
Chris had researched the evolution of other technologies and noticed a common underlying principle. Every important new tool evolves through a wide variety of forms until it reaches a point that people are so comfortable using it that it becomes second nature. He calls this principle architectural stabilization.
The classic example of this is the automobile, where a product goes through changes along a certain pattern. In the earliest days of the automobile, you had automobiles that had tillers, you had automobiles that had reins to steer them, you had automobiles with 3 wheels, automobiles with 4 wheels, automobiles with a brake on the side, automobiles with a brake on the floor. You had every possible combination of these things, and no one knew what was right. There was no right or wrong. Well, that's in 1900, that's in 1890. If you turn your mental clock forward to 1928, 1929, all of a sudden you take a look around and you find that every car has a steering wheel, every car has brake, clutch, accelerator. You find out that they all have a handbrake, that they all have 4 wheels, they all have a top. This is the way it works. We predicted then that the computer would change along these same patterns because it was a fundamental tool, because it fundamentally assisted the mind of man in things that it was not too good at doing natively.
Chris began to assemble the most talented people he could find, visionaries, who could see the need for architectural stabilization in other areas of society, even in the workplace. They work their own hours in their own homes, spread out across the country, and link up through a telecommunications network, what's becoming known as the electronic cottage environment.
I've just finished a new set of instructions that are going to be added to our software, and that is all pointed at a show that's coming up in Las Vegas. NCC is the showcase for the industry's products, and we have come up with a new system, new software that is really state-of-the-art, and we're going to show it there. Now that I'm finished, I have to communicate my new instructions and send it into the office, and from there it'll be put out as a product.
We have to have Rick Sanger's complete system, so if anything goes wrong with valve paint, it can be fixed. We have to have Bill Volk's entire system, so if anything goes wrong with valve draw, it can be fixed. And I want their hard disks with all their data on it. Okay. It's got to be there. And those have to be set up those have to be marked Tech Suite.
A couple of times a year, the computer industry gets together to tout their wares and show the state of the art. These trade shows are make or break events. In the rapidly changing computer industry, a new product can be obsolete even before it's released.
Hospitality suite.
The biggest show of them all is the National Computer Conference, this year in Las Vegas. And for the first time, Rising Star is going to exhibit.
The NCC is part of a dream. It's important. You know, we want to see the ahs or the oohs or the whatever's, you know, criticisms or whatever, but we're pretty confident.
Done with the this room here for 103.
Before its initial release in the spring of '83, Veldoc's version 1 was much ballyhooed in the trade press. Expectations ran high for a revolutionary computer system that was easy to use. When it did appear, however, reviews were mixed. Its admirers saw the vision. Ease of use was a major evolutionary step towards the future of this new technology. However, even they had to agree with the critics when they said the system was slow. The question was whether Rising Star could ever speed it up. Whether the third wave visionaries could satisfy the demands of the second wave marketplace.
How many shirts do you really need?
What?
How many shirts do you really need? I have
As
1,
many as you can
2,
give
3,
me.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, I think in Las Vegas with 115 degrees in the shade is probably a good idea.
Point blank statement, I don't like Las Vegas. I don't like trade shows. I don't like this kind of fake salesmanship where everybody stands there and, you know, develops a severe case of smile. It's the land of white teeth where that matters more than substance. So I don't have much affinity for that. And I go there out of force of necessity because there are people who want to see the product.
Bye-bye.
I'm hoping the product does well in the marketplace. One of the key reasons I'm hoping it does well is that I want to be able to support these other research activities we've got going on, which I think are far more important. I believe we have crossed the line where a sufficient amount of knowledge is available to us today that we can solve the problems of energy generation, of hunger, of war, of nations, of political systems. I believe that they are soluble now for the first time in man's history. The best part of it all is that there are others who've made the same decision. I'm not alone. There are others out there who are willing, ready, and able to make the change from the outmoded forms of thought that have ruled second wave society. The second wave was part of man's materialistic thrust. It's the reaction against the agrarian society in which we said man is totally the effect of the environment. Man is a result of the environment and created and caused by the environment. Some bright fellow somewhere along the way said, but you don't understand, if I move some of these rocks around, the environment changes in response to this input of energy that I'm putting into it. Second wave society, by definition, was man standing there saying, watch how I can change the physical environment. I snap my fingers as a magician and a mountain falls and a dam rises and a lake forms where one didn't exist before. Aren't I wonderful? Las Vegas is the epitome of second wave thinking. It's the glitter, it's the lights, it's the bare flesh, it's the gamble, the casting your dice and going for it and seeing what happens. The second wave man was man who discovered machines. He discovered, he's like a child growing up out of his, coming up off of his knees and stopping crawling around and realizing that he can push against something and have it move. Well, that's a very childish viewpoint. It's easy to find ways to compete with something. It's much more difficult to find a way of cooperating. If the third wave means anything to me, it's finding ways of cooperating with the environment to where I move it when it's appropriate and I'm moved by it when it is appropriate.
Well, my goodness, take a look around this motley group. What an incredible group of rising stars we have managed to put together here. I'm very impressed. It's one thing to sit back and write paychecks every couple of weeks and get an abstract idea of how many people are starting to work in the company. But when you start crowding everybody together into one room, you start getting a lot more reality on the degree to which this company has grown over the last 24 months, coming from just Gail and myself and Roger up to what you see in a period of 24 months or so.
These are the new magicians, gathered from across the country and beyond.
Overwhelming majority.
Until now, many of them have been just names in the electronic ether. Now they get to meet face to face.
Bill Wong, I'm the mailman.
Carl Galletti, technical staff.
Bruce Radoff, migrant programmer.
Hans Huber from Austria.
I'm Conan and Gene.
Heck of a bunch of people. I look around the room and I see a whole bunch of people who are capable of creating worlds if they want to. You've done awfully damned well. Well, guess what? It's showtime. It's time to take this show on the road and to strut our stuff in front of a public who is not used to seeing what we are going to put together for them.
There are over 600 exhibitors here, covering an area that seems like 5 football fields. They've come to Las Vegas to buy and sell the future, to hitch a ride on the hottest new trends. Everybody's on the make for attention, looking for sales contacts, trying to impress. Some companies spend fortunes on their displays. Others use whatever they can dream up.
It's unnatural.
And switch to that as that cable company.
Sudden cardiac arrest followed by waves of relief.
Well, Ollie, tell me something. You just got to Las Vegas today. You haven't had a chance to go dancing yet.
No. The other place we can go?
Well, I was thinking of asking you to dance right now. Would you dance with me? Why not? Am I too short?
The rising star people are the young rebels here. In an industry dominated by giants and catering to large interests, they're trying to make computers usable by ordinary people.
The same. Every bit of it is set up in what we call a stabilized architecture.
Valdox version 2 is a new kind of personal tool for the information age. It combines 11 separate functions: word processing, a spreadsheet, graphics, mail, even a color painting system.
The artists I've talked to think that this has kind of revolutionized the world of art. So you're in a good department. It's going to be, the revolution is here.
Wow. Wow.
Now I want to do some detailed work. Now, how close do I want to go? Well, let's see. Quite pick the pixel that I want. Maybe right about there. And shrink the paintbrush down.
Yeah, that's good. That's fun.
It's got the paint program, it's got a drafting program, which talk to each other. You can draft a picture.
Today, we're bombarded with information. We can't keep up with everything that's happening. We spend so much time dealing with the symbols of information, we have no time left over to appreciate the patterns of the world around us. We can't see the forest for the trees.
Newest System 36. It's the perfect size.
So specialists advise us, and governments make choices for us, and we're left with the very real feeling that we're losing control of our lives. We fear the computer because it seems to be adding to the problems. In fact, says Chris Rutkowski, we're confusing the problem with the solution.
Including a serial parallel.
The computer is a tool. The computer is a tool that allows you to sift through an enormous number of symbols rather rapidly with some chance of perceiving the patterns that lie therein. The computer gives you leverage so that you can move and manipulate more symbols. It adds to the power of your mind, ergo a mind amplifier. Is a very practical and appropriate term that one can use to describe what a microcomputer does. It amplifies the ability of your mind to shuffle symbols. One of the problems that modern man confronted was that the second wave involved itself in the creation of symbols and the manipulation of symbols Well, the third wave, as I view it, this information age technology that's coming about, I think is indicative of the fact that people are better at recognizing patterns. That's what human beings are very, very good at doing. We are pattern recognizers by design. In this universe, we were designed to recognize the patterns and pick out the patterns from the symbols. So the next order of organization for man seems to be to take all this enormous volume of symbols that we've accumulated and almost form a level of organization, a hierarchy of understanding of pattern. Now, the patterns that will be recognized, of course, are the fundamental truths. You start picking out from among this myriad number of symbols, you can pick out patterns that mean something. This is what the third wave is all about, really. Again, looking at the second wave from another viewpoint. In the second wave, we developed the tools necessary to move mountains. In the third wave, we're developing the tools necessary to move ideas. The problem has never been a lack of ideas on this planet. There have always been plenty of ideas from plenty of thinking people, ideas that were capable of changing the course of history. The problem was the penetration rate of those ideas was extremely slow. The key technology of the third wave is that of communication and the travel of ideas and the moving of ideas. McLuhan's global city is a reality.
We have networks set up of people who are interested in similar things, and they sit down and they start using this thing and they see a mail program on it where they can communicate to other people. All of a sudden, the person's life is changed. All of a sudden, he can communicate his ideas and connect in and out of people, in and out of communities much bigger than his own. He can cause things to happen in other parts of the world. People connecting up because of similar ideas and goals and purposes. And this is the way out. Let me tell you, this is the way to upgrade a civilization.
Are we working with pigment conversion, or are we working with light theory?
It's light theory here, obviously.
It's projected color rather than...
Certainly it's not pigment.
But it's acting like it.
No, because if it was pigment, then you wouldn't get white by combining a bunch of colors. You get black.
The flesh tone.
Oh, yeah, look, he's doing it. He's putting the clock in.
Valley, yeah. Yeah.
You little devil, you. You can't leave Dolly well enough alone.
Hello, Dolly.
I've got a pocket watch. We can melt it and see what it looks like, then you can try it.
Yeah. At least he doesn't have a slide rule packed in.
Oh. Slide rules went the way of the dinosaurs when pocket calculators came out.
Well, I figured that I hit my arm behind the It's the most insane fun. I love the Malibu.
This was a gift. I mean, this gives you that ability of doing something that I've fantasized ever since I was a kid.
We are making it available to the masses. We are
No, I understand. That's why we're here.
It's incredible, the implications of what we're doing.
The show seems to have gone well. The critics came and went, shaking their heads with amazement. Rising Star can celebrate a little.
What is the golden cut?
What's a golden cut?
The golden cut is the basic aesthetic law for composition of anything which has a form. It's a law of nature.
After 4 exhausting days basking in their success, it gradually dawns on Chris that the first phase of his theories about architectural stabilization has come to an end.
And by keeping focus on those things, it works. That's what I'm most pleased about.
You know what I'm pleased about? As a result of the show and so forth, is a number of people that recognize that. Must make you feel really good.
Better. It doesn't hurt nearly as much on a day-to-day basis now.
Well, today was the day when all the people from the large manufacturing firms came down to see Valtra.
Oh, really? No kidding.
General Motors, Fisher Auto Body, Boeing Aircraft,
potatoes.
I will make it three face up.
You know, the ability to
one
grab
down, that is one down, three upright.
This was the official end of Phase 1. Phase 1 was the creation of the concept, the bringing together of the team, the gathering of the magicians into one place and one time. The creative reins are in the hands of a lot of creative people now. There are other people out there who've gotten it. They've gotten the power of what we're doing in architectural stabilization, and they're using it. And it starts becoming possible for me to move on. I've got other work to do. The task of Rising Star now becomes to apply the theorem in other areas of technology where there are fundamental lacks in civilization. Where does mankind have a problem in coping and surviving that leads to inherent instability? Bucky Fuller would say the critical path is this. Either we make it into the third wave end phenomena of an architecturally stabilized civilization in which the needs of human beings are being served, or mankind is a write-off experiment in the history of evolution. And I believe that mankind has evolved to a point where we can intercede in the process. We can perceive the path of evolution and intercede in its conclusion.